Welcome to Indiana Sports Beat Radio, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Know your role and shut your mouth, you jabroni!
Fires upfield into the end zone, and it's caught! Jelani Woods! Touchdown! A 43-point night for Tyrese Halliburton.
How do you like that, partner?
All the way to the hole. Throws it up. Got it! Indiana's got their first lead of this contest.
I mean, that's the guy that had me right there.
Now, from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, here's your host, Jim Coyle.
Hello, everybody. Welcome into another edition of Indiana Sports Beat Radio. I am not Jim Coyle. He is with us, but he is currently out at looking for a drink of water or some sort of drink before we get started. He must have not realized when we were going to get things kicked off. But we are live at Big Ten Football Media Days in Indianapolis, Lucas Oil Stadium. Dustin Schutte with us on site on the field as well. Dustin, what's going on, man?
Hey, not much. This is what I always tell people about the setup here at Big Ten Media Days at Lucas Oil Stadium is it's on the field. So when I was a player, I usually spent most of my time on the sidelines. So this is the first time I'm actually touching the inside of the grass here. I'm as close to a touchdown as I've ever scored in my entire life. It's really exciting to be here. I never got off the bench. I was basically what Jim's doing now, getting a drink of water. That was basically my role, right? Just stand at the end of the bench, protect the water cooler, pass out water to the guys who are actually playing. So that's this is the first time for me that.
And there he is walking in the background, our one Jim Coyle,
this close to
as he steps into his seat. The moment you've all been waiting for, live from Big Ten Football Media Days. It is one James. I don't know your middle name, Coyle. He is now back in his seat, ready to get this party started. As you join us live from Lucas Oil Stadium, Jim, welcome to your show.
All right, thanks a lot, man, and welcome back. Of course, coming to you live from the bright lights of Lucas Oil Stadium. Here, need to put the shades on, man. It's awfully bright down here with the TV lights on and. Radio Row. We're sitting here on Radio Row, of course, as you can see behind us. The dais set up where Tony Petitti, Big Ten Commissioner, will be speaking later on today. You got Brett Belima, Greg Schiano, Mel Tucker, David Braun, Northwestern's interim coach. That's going to be a situation for him. James Franklin, Kirk Ferentz, and Ryan Day. We'll see if we get any salvos fired off from day one from the Michigan-Ohio State fanfare. Other than that, let's see what else is in the news. The Reds win again, baby. They won 7 out of 9 now. So good for them. But what else was there? Oh yes, speaking of Jim Harbaugh, tomorrow here, facing a potential 4-game suspension. So that's going to come up without question. And, of course, that's going to be interesting because, of course, 3 of those he'll take during the non-con portion of the schedule and then when they play Indiana probably. Rutgers.
The first 4 games of their schedule, yes, it's gonna work out to the point where they're going to play the 3 non-conference games, and then they're going to play Rutgers as their Big Ten opener. So when you look at the schedule and you look at the potential suspension, he's going to have – you could not have drawn up a better 4-game suspension if that's indeed what it's going to be for him. So it's going to be incredibly interesting. We believe that this stuff all started over buying somebody a cheeseburger, which, by the way, in today's –
if that's the truth, then that's just stupid.
In today's
NIL, I find it hard to believe that's what it's about.
In today's NIL world, I don't know what constitutes as what's appropriate, what's inappropriate, what can you do, what can't you do.
Did you steal my pen?
I might have.
It's all right. I have more.
I've got multiple pens in my pocket, so
looking for it. But yeah, if that's the case, that goes back to. And Indiana fans kind of cracked me up on this one. The Kelvin Sampson issue. Yeah, he broke a rule, and it was a rule. But this is not the same as to say someone broke a rule back in the day and got paid a crap ton of money to go someplace. And today you can do that, and that's legal. But you can't. That's apples and oranges there. Making phone calls, just like the deal with, if that's truly, that cannot be it, buying a cheeseburger. There's got to be more to it than that. And with what everything Michigan's done, they've had all those practices scheduled outside of the auspices of NCAA, which were legal. And you know what? If you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. And it wasn't cheating.
Well, I think what got him in more trouble was the fact that he knowingly lied to the NCAA or provided misinformation. But at the same time, you found your pen. It was trapped in your book. At the same time, you go back to some of the things we've seen in North Carolina. Remember when they were like making up classes? They didn't find any punishment. When you go back in Missouri, they had a tutor or something along those lines, but they were cooperative and they still faced a postseason ban. Those were both basketball violations. So it's just interesting. It just goes to the fact that the NCAA really it's kind of arbitrary punishment, but at the same time, again, with Michigan, it's 4 games. Those 4 games aren't going to really make that much of a difference because of the way the schedule lines up for Michigan. But I do find it humorous and ironic, the fact that, a few years ago, Jim Harbaugh made the comment, can't beat the cheaters out of the SEC when it comes to recruiting violations, and then he's going to get hit with some sort of recruiting violation type.
But who else is bitching more than anybody? What coaches are bitching more than anybody? From what league? The SEC.
You think the SEC? I don't think
Lane
the SEC
Kiffin.
cares. Well, Lane Kiffin, yeah.
Nick Saban. Last year was Nick Saban.
Yeah, I mean,
until Jimbo Fisher shut him down.
That's true.
But then you got Lane Kiffin just the other day. I'm like, wait a minute, guys. You all are not the league that can bitch and moan about paying players when you all have been doing it under the table forever, successfully. And so why are they having problems now? They can just open it up. I don't understand why they're having problems.
Well, I think part of it is you're trying to get to a point, you're trying to appeal to your donors and to your fan base to get more people to donate. I mean, we've seen this with the Big Ten. Ryan Day, I don't remember what the figure was, $7-10 million he said a few years ago they needed to win national championships to keep up with recruiting. And then obviously, so then that leads Penn State, Michigan. They believe that they need to be competitive and in that market too. So I don't know. It's just a brand new world. And even though it's been around now for a couple of years, I think everybody's still getting accustomed to it. I just find it funny.
I don't think it's still.
I just still find it funny, the fact that we're talking about things that might cost a couple dollars, where if you go out and have a nice meal, $100, and some of these kids are pulling in thousands of dollars, and you can say rightfully so. But I don't even know what we're doing with these recruiting violations anymore. And I think the punishment stems from the fact that he was dishonest with the NCAA, but.
Ed's asking, what's the kid's name from Air Force Academy that's in the portal and has a visit to Indiana? 6'4". That's the kid from Floyd Central. As a matter of fact, go back, look at my tweet messages from back last season. He had a blowout game, and I'm like, watch out, people. This guy is Jake Heidbretter, I believe. Is that who you're talking about, Ed? Jake Heidbretter from Floyd Central High School. And looking forward to having Fonzo White on. He is their new basketball coach at Floyd Central. That doesn't happen very often. But looking forward to talking to him. But Jake Heidbretter, yeah, he's just one of those guys that kind of went about his business. He kind of reminds me of Sean East in a way of didn't get the attention, and go out and do your thing. You grow, you get better, and guess what? Now people can notice you. But I sent. I'll have to pull that up. I sent something out about him a long time ago. But yeah, he's a shooter, man.
He beat everybody to the punch.
We'll see. So, does he have a visit scheduled, Ed? Is that what you're saying? If he did, I haven't seen that, but that doesn't mean anything.
Jennifer says we can hear some background music, 311 going in the background.
Well, a minute ago we had Last Dance with Mary Jane, Tom Petty.
Yeah, we did.
I was I meant to suggest that Indiana boys on the Indiana night.
We've got some good music selection here. The past couple of years I've been to these, they've had excellent music choices. So shout out to whoever's in charge of it's not a karaoke. Whoever's in charge of the music here.
Do you want it to be a karaoke machine?
No, I do not.
Would you like for me to get up there? I don't need a karaoke machine. I'll just get up there and sing.
Yeah, people that watch this show regularly are aware that you are more than willing to jump on and just start singing at any point.
Well, I appreciate them appreciating my singing talents. It's there's not many places I can go in this world and get that appreciation.
Ryan Day said, Forrest says Day said they need 13 million. Yeah, I mean that just again those are the kind of numbers we're dealing with, and I still go back. I know I've mentioned this multiple times, but we'll probably talk with Tom Allen about this as Indiana comes here tomorrow. Both Indiana and Purdue, the in-state teams, are going to be at Media Days on Friday. But it just speaks to the fact that you look at what Ohio State's trying to do and get 13 million or whatever their number is, get Michigan, Penn State. You can even throw Michigan State, probably Nebraska.
Well, we'll have Tom Allen on tomorrow, and we'll talk to him about that very thing. Because he's talked about it, and we'll ask ourselves, Tom, how does not just you, but how does Indiana, how does Rutgers, how does Purdue even? I mean, Purdue is above the fray a little bit because they've had some success, and so their fans are supporting that. They've got nice facilities already. They are redoing their stadium right now, but they already have an excellent training facility, indoor training facility, as does Northwestern. And I know that you can't just, how great your locker room looks. Yeah, you know what? That's there's only so far you need to go with that. Personally, I mean, you only use that damn thing.
Well, but I mean, what's happening is the locker room.
And I will say this: I was going to say the indoor facility of Indiana. Freaking paint that damn thing. Paint the inside of it. It looks so dull and drab in there. Put up some lights. Paint that thing with some fresh paint. Put up some cool stuff and brighten that thing up because it looks like a morgue.
Yeah, I mean, I think you go back to probably even just 20 years ago, you saw indoor facilities didn't mean that much. I know John's telling us we got to get to a break here, but it used to be just a place you go, get ready for practice, get ready for a game, etc. Now those kids are spending their entire semesters in those buildings. So they become all-encompassing facilities. So you got to kind of keep up with the Joneses if you want to continue to recruit at a high level.
We've got we'll get to your questions and your comments on the Andy Moore Honda hotline, and don't forget Indiana Sports Beat Radio, powered by Andy Moore. Just go to Andy Moore Honda or AndyMoore.com and get more to your door in the best in new and used vehicles. I'm looking at one right now myself. Also Endeavor Hospitality and the family of restaurants in and around the Bloomington area. Great places like the Chop Shop, former BB's, incredible meats, the greatest of in-house homemade products, bakery, and then you've got the Chop Shop Steakhouse next door with a complete full-size bar, the whole deal, man. You can walk over and pick out your steak, tell them how thick you want it. Say, I got that one a little thicker. But yeah, we've got lots more coming up here live from Lucas Oil Stadium for the 2023 Big Ten Football Media Days.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
If you're in the I hear him, but I don't hear you.
I can't hear you either. It's probably fine because we're close enough.
It's probably better that way anyway because you need to be able to hear the rejoins and stuff, but you can already hear each other sitting next to each other.
I know, but it's not the point. I want it all. I want it all, and I want it now.
We got music going and Jim's still singing.
Okay,
By
let
the
me
way,
get to
I
this.
cut a few Caleb Banks clips if you want to talk about or use those at all.
What'd you say?
I have a couple of Caleb Banks clips if you decide to use them.
Is that you or me that I'm cutting?
I can hear John.
You can still hear him. You got some Caleb Banks clips.
Yeah.
This is such crap. Pisses me off. All right. When we come back, we shall hear from Caleb Banks. All right, I lost my freaking pen again. There it is. Too much shite going on here. What does Caleb Banks have to say?
One of them was an answer on how he fits on this year's roster, and another one is how he adjusted throughout the season last year as a freshman.
Do you know who asked them?
One of them was, I think the first one was Todd Golden, and I don't remember who asked the second one.
I don't think we played CJ Gunn either.
Well, you'll have to wait a little bit for me to grab some of those. I didn't know if you did or not.
Yeah, we did because there had no way of doing it.
We'll play those either later in the show or tomorrow.
Today would probably be better just because tomorrow.
That's true. You'll be loaded with football tomorrow. I'll try to grab him when you have Rick Bozich on.
Yeah, I meant to go walk around and see if I can grab somebody.
You only got about 30 seconds now.
I know.
All right, here we go.
Bloomington near Cabello is locally owned and operated by Endeavor Hospitality Group. Launched from a previous staple in Bloomington, the former Function Brewing, Metalworks Brewing Company is the culmination of a passion for beer, food, and custom metal art. Check out their custom growlers. Metalworks Brewing Company has an updated menu, new brews, and will be offered in all Endeavor Hospitality restaurants. Come taste with Dr. Hops' Brewing. Metalworks Brewing Company. Bring your passion and your thirst.
This segment is brought to you by Southern Stone Restaurant. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio here on this Wednesday. It is July 26th as we are coming to you live from Lucas Oil Stadium here in Indianapolis, site of football, Big Ten Football Media Days. Dustin Schutte with me as we are watching things take place and take shape as the commish will speak in a little while, and then the coaches will all follow there. This is not Indiana's day. Ohio State will speak today. Northwestern will speak today. I'm trying to think of anyone else of note.
You got Iowa, Kirk Ferentz going to speak today. Brett Bielema from Illinois. So it's.
But no, I was thinking of any stories, baby. Any storylines?
Well, you got some good storylines. Well, I don't know about good. Let me rephrase that. You've got a significant storyline with Northwestern and David Braun
absolutely.
coming in. Obviously, the players decided on their own that they were not going to show up.
Oh, really?
Decided, yeah, that was. I think that came out yesterday.
Did not know that.
They're not going to be attending Big Ten Media Days, and it's probably a smart decision because that entire situation, the administration can't even get that situation right. The president, the AD, they've kind of fumbled that mess, going through a coaching change. Really a no-win situation to put those players in that position anyway. So it's going to be tough enough, I think, for David Braun to go up to the podium, to go over here and sit and do these breakout sessions.
All he's going to say is, I didn't know anything about it. I wasn't involved with it. I'm just looking forward to this season and trying to get our team together, yada, yada, yada.
Right.
Which is exactly what I would do. So, but they can't run from that situation.
They can't run from it. I am a little bit surprised that he's going to do it. be quite honest. I was surprised that he decided to come, and they didn't try to pull out of that. I don't know what the obligations are in terms of the Big Ten, sort of that sort of thing, but not really that surprising that Northwestern's players are not going to be here to discuss that.
And Scott Frost left immediately after he spoke last year.
Well, they had camp.
How'd that work out for him?
Well, I mean,
you don't schedule camp on Big Ten Football Media Day.
Well, they didn't, but their problem was, or not, it shouldn't say a problem, but their situation was the Big Ten scheduled that game in Ireland against Northwestern, so they had to start early and they had to get back to fall camp. So I understood that aspect of it. They came here, they fulfilled their media obligations, then they went home. That's to me, that's perfectly
one day
fine.
was not going to affect his job. Obviously, it was way.
Well, I mean,
way,
hindsight's 20/20.
It was way deeper than that.
But what was crazy though was about that game last year. This is why I don't want to go back, but that game last year, Northwestern and Nebraska. I came out of that week 0 game thinking both teams were going to be pretty good, and obviously,
Well, I mean, one point games that.
One possession.
One possession. One possession.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, the thing
that was the game with the infamous onside kick.
Right.
When they were up by like 14 points, Nebraska was, and that was the start for Northwestern's comeback.
Right. And I remember watching, like, you can watch a football game and you think to yourself, boy, this is really bad football. I remember watching that game thinking these two teams are going to be a lot better than I thought coming into this season. Obviously, it didn't turn out that way. Both teams were at the bottom of the Big Ten West, but now both teams have that was the biggest storyline heading in week 0 last year, and now it's kind of the biggest storyline because both teams have new head coaches. Obviously, Nebraska made a change mid-season. They got Matt Rule, who I think is going to be, I don't know if I want to put a force out there, but he's going to be a major.
Yeah, that's going to be a great hire for Northwestern. I really believe that.
Nebraska, yeah.
Nebraska.
I think so too. I think he's going to address the offensive line. I think he's a good recruiter. I think he's done some good things already. He kind of fits that, even though he's an East Coast guy, he kind of fits the Big Ten Midwest
I think
mold.
there's less pressure on him after what Scott Frost did.
You think really?
Scott Frost put a lot of pressure on himself. I think how his attitude was, and then that just kind of exacerbated the situation to me of not winning and close but no cigar, and his responses and just it. I think Matt Rule is going to be able to come in there with a clean slate and start from a different perspective.
I think Scott came in with a lot of pressure because of what he did at UCF, going from 0 wins to a bowl game, and then to 13-0 or whatever the final record was that season at UCF. There was an expectation that they were going to have that sort of launch by the time he was in his second or third season, and it just didn't pan out. Sometimes you don't have the right fit at the right spot.
We got 5 words for you. Welcome to the Big Ten.
That is true. It is a different mindset.
Welcome to the Big Ten,
and
my friend.
That's why I think Nebraska's in a good spot here with Matt Rule, because he was able to do that at Temple. He then turned around a Baylor team that was facing some pretty significant sanctions, and they had some scholarship limits. He was able to go in there and turn that around. I know things didn't quite work out for him at the NFL level, but I do think he has a strong understanding of what it's going to take to win in the Big Ten. He played at Penn State. He's got an understanding of Big Ten football. He's a program builder, and so I think that's why they're going to be in a better position. Northwestern, man, this is going to be an interesting storyline throughout the course of the season because, this is going to be an interim basis. I don't see there's any way that Dave Brown's going to be around more than 1 year. But they couldn't make some sort of coaching change at this point because they're so close to fall camp. They're close to media days. The season's a month away. They couldn't make any significant changes. So this is going to be interesting. I think things could go from bad to worse for Northwestern in terms of their.
But how about the entire? Luckily, this is the last season for divisions. But boy, oh boy, is the West a kind of a weird place. You have basically 4 brand new coaches. Brett Bielema is in his second year.
Right.
So, okay, it's his second year. And then you've got Matt Rule in his first year, Luke Fickell in his first year at Wisconsin. And then you just mentioned Northwestern situation. So that's
3. Then you got Ryan Walters at Purdue after Jeff Brom left for Louisville.
I forgot about that.
So you're talking about 4 coaches in the Big Ten West who are in their first year at their specific programs. Then you got Bielema.
You've got 5, maybe. Add the ones in his second year. But of course, he's got. Oh, it's his third year.
21, 22. This would be his third year.
No. I don't think so. I thought last year was his first year back.
No, he was head coach 2 years ago. 2021 was his first season. They went 5-7 last year. They were in the hunt for the Big Ten West. So this will be his third year. But needless to say, I mean, he's obviously an experienced head coach. Spent a lot of time at Wisconsin. Had a lot of success right here in this building, winning 3 Big Ten championships. And then you go to Illinois, like we said. He goes to Illinois. He's in his third year there. Then you've got
he goes to where?
He's at Illinois.
Okay, I thought you said something else.
Then you got.
I thought you said Illinois.
I might have a slip there. Kirk Ferentz, though, the dean of the Big Ten, the guy who's been there the longest, and you got PJ Fleck, who's obviously an experienced guy. So, Big Ten West once again, kind of up for grabs. But I think when you enter this season, I know Wisconsin was picked as the favorite. You look at Iowa's schedule, pretty favorable. They've got a really good defense coming back, made some additions in the transfer portal. I think Minnesota has a good shot. To me, it's probably those teams, but we'll see what happens. You can never count out Wisconsin.
No, and we talked about Jim Harbaugh a minute ago. This is from Yahoo Sports. Michigan head coach Jim Harbaugh and the NCAA are working towards a negotiated resolution that is expected to see him suspended for 4 games this season and penalties stemming from alleged false statements he originally made to investigators, source tell Yahoo Sports. They don't like it when you lie to them.
They don't. It's probably best to just. But at the same time, if I go back to the Missouri situation, and I don't have the specifics.
I think it should have been a 6-game deal, personally. No, I'm not kidding.
Well, I mean,
when you're lying to them, man, like, yeah, no, getting caught's one thing.
Well, that's true, and I think generally agree with you. But again, I go back to the Missouri basketball situation where they were fully cooperative about their entire situation, and the NCAA still slapped them with the postseason ban. So, and a guy who worked in the NCAA at the time was asked, "Is it just better to lie because North Carolina played dumb, got off scot-free?" And they said you could honestly make a case for that.
Jim Harbaugh might as well go to Florida for the first 4 weeks of the season.
Why not? I mean, it's going to be hot down there. He can vacation anywhere he wants.
Do you know why? Because the first 4 games of Michigan's season are all at home, and they are against East Carolina, UNLV, Bowling Green, and then they host Rutgers.
Yeah.
Wow. You talk about a weak. I mean, they're 4-0 right there, man. You're 2 games from bowl eligibility without even batting an eye.
Without having your head coach.
You could probably sit your entire starting lineup other than getting them the reps.
I mean, but
you know, but if there's a slip up, this is huge. If they have a slip up, which I don't know how the hell they can have a slip up against those 4 teams. But if they don't play well, if they don't perform quite as well, and they get dinged by the voters, that could hurt them at the end of the season.
Well, it could, but I would guess that the voters would probably take into consideration the fact that Jim Harbaugh's not going to be on the sideline. I don't think they're going to have any trouble. They're an experienced team. They're really good defensively. They got Blake Corum in the backfield, J.J. McCarthy under center. Should be strong on the offensive line. Like, I don't know if they're going to be up against I don't know that they're going to be able to beat Ohio State for a 3rd consecutive year, certainly heading into this season.
Yeah, but did you think they were going to beat them for a 2nd straight year?
I didn't think they were going to beat them the first time. So
beat the crap out of them, too.
And they've handled them pretty good. So we'll see. Obviously, we'll see what happens. But those first 4 games, I mean, if you're going to be without your head coach for 4 games, those are 4 pretty good opponents to be without a head coach.
Yeah. They tried to reach a quick resolution back in January, but it broke down after Harbaugh refused to admit that he lied to the NCAA staff. He has maintained he didn't recall the events when first speaking with investigators, but that he was never purposely dishonest. Yes, I don't recall. That's just that's like, well, actually, it reminds me of him a couple of years ago talking about right here kids misusing medical hardship waivers and claiming mental hardship when who's going to question you? You claim mental hardship, nobody's going to question you. And he's right, but he's doing the same thing. So, two current Michigan assistants also expected to receive sanctions, including offensive coordinator Sharon Moore and tight ends coach Grant Newsom.
Yeah.
For Harbaugh, the negotiated resolution is a signal that the coach acknowledged some sort of dishonesty. The NCAA considers lying to investigators as a level 1 violation, the most serious of the organization scale. Yeah, I told you they didn't like it. A level 1 violation could carry with it a 6-game suspension. Well, I told you it should be, and significant recruiting violations. So that's why he negotiated the 4, because the 6, that would have made a difference, because now we're talking about some legit Big Ten teams probably, and costing them dearly.
Right, and I'm just going through, trying to look at that schedule and see what, trying to look at what Michigan would have if that was a 6-game suspension, which I doubt it's going to be. Yeah, so their next 2 games would then be on the road against Nebraska, which again we talked about. I think they're going to be a lot better this year, so that's going to be a tough. And then a road game against Minnesota for the Little Brown Jug. So if you went 6 games, but then still doesn't help Indiana, because guess when Indiana falls on that schedule would be the 7th game of the season.
For the Little Brown Jug, the theme from Little Deuce Coupe. My little brown jug, you can't take it away.
Is this? I don't know who
it is, man.
Beach Boys? That's what it sounds
Beach
like.
Boys,
Okay.
yes.
It does sound like Beach Boys, too.
The future home of the Indiana Pacers G League franchise will be within the Innovation Mile in Noblesville, according to Noblesville Board of Works and Public Safety. Probably, 30 minutes from right here?
Not far.
3,400-seat arena, which was announced back in May, was originally planned to be built at Finch Creek Park on the city's east side. Now the arena will sit between 141st Street and I-69 east of Oleo Road. So it's moved a little bit up there. The change was proposed by Westfield-based Patch Development. Will put the arena closer to the Hamilton Town Center, several hotels and restaurants, and the Ruoff Music Center. This is the first major milestone for us to hit since the city and Pacers Sports Entertainment came together in May, blah, blah, blah. Mayor speak. There's cool stuff, though. I mean, how about if you live in that area, up in Fishers, you've got Top Golf, you're going to have a G League team.
Yep.
I know it's its own city, but it's basically a suburb of Indianapolis. But those Carmel, Noblesville, Zionsville, and those places are, although a piece of Indy, are all their own deal as well.
And I know that it's a bummer for Fort Wayne, right? They hosted the Mad Ants for so many years. It was a good city. Usually I think they had pretty good turnout for those games, and it gave them kind of a professional sports along with the Fort Wayne Tin Caps. But I think that a lot of teams are starting to move this direction in the NBA, where they're getting guys closer, so that way you can try to develop them. If you need to call them up, you're not having to drive 2.5 hours on a specific game day. But it's just, to me, it's that kind of stuff. It's all about player development, getting around those guys.
Well, it's more because it's training and athletic and practice and this. So it makes a lot of sense. It's sad to see, but it makes a lot of sense. Sorry, it does. We've got to take a break. But before we do, when we come back, we're going to hear from Caleb Banks, Indiana basketball player, met with the media yesterday. Also, CJ Gunn, who we have not heard from him yet, although his meeting took place a few days before that. On the program tomorrow, don't forget, as we'll continue our second day live here in Indianapolis from Lucas Oil Stadium for the 23 football Big Ten Media Days. Tom Allen will join us, Indiana's head coach. Jalen Lucas, Indiana's All-American running back. Noah Pierre and Aaron Casey. Plenty more as well. Back with that right after this.
We'll be right back to the golf club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
When's Rick Bozich on?
Yes, he's coming up next. That's why I was like, don't mention we're doing the clips. Rick Bozich is next.
Oh, well, shit.
He's trying to connect right now.
Wait.
Looks like he's struggling.
Hold on. Can I throw an idea out there?
No.
Okay.
Yes.
So I'm going to go over there at about 10:50. Can you save the Caleb Banks for that last
Yes.
segment?
That's what I was going to have him do because I was going to grab CJ Gunn as well. Before
I didn't realize that. Yeah, I didn't realize that Rick was up now. I forgot.
Perfect.
He's
So,
having
for what
trouble
segment?
connecting.
The very last segment, so I can get up there because I'm going to ask Bielema a important question.
Bielema won't be up there
Until
until
11. He's at 11.
What are you asking Brett Bielema?
You have to wait and see. If I get the microphone.
I can guarantee it's not going to be anything to do with football.
It's not. And it may be the last time I get a microphone. But it's not anything offensive.
Well,
or anything. Don't worry. It's just
Sometimes the
Hello,
best,
Rick
the
Bozich.
best time to do that is when they do their individual breakouts.
They're not live right now. We're in commercial.
They're coaches.
Yeah,
Right.
I was just having internet trouble.
Oh, you're fine. I'm glad to have you. You all hear Rick?
Who? We miss you, brother.
I'm sorry. Who's speaking today? Indiana?
No, they're tomorrow, actually. Ryan Day is today. Northwestern's coach is today. That's
Rick's been busy watching the U of L TBT team whoop some behind as they did last
They
night.
looked good last night, man.
I can't believe how good Russ Smith still looks.
He's good, man. He's good. He didn't even shoot that well in the first half, and he scored all 8 points after they set the target score.
have you gone to many of the games there?
They've only played one, and they won last night, 91 to 67.
No, I meant just in the region. Did they have 4 games there yesterday?
Oh, I watched some of Florida and Maryland. Mo Creek was playing off the bench. He didn't really do that much. Maryland won, so Creek will play again tomorrow.
How long does it go through in Louisville?
There's 2 games tomorrow night. There's a game on Saturday afternoon, and then I think there's a game on Monday.
I may try to get down there.
You should come. I think they're going to have a bigger crowd on Thursday.
I think it's cool that they're playing in Freedom Hall,
Freedom
too.
Hall. Yeah, it is cool.
Oh, absolutely. Dude, that's still a great venue.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is.
It's plain, but I'll tell you one thing. It's a hell of a lot easier to get out of than the Yum Center.
That's true.
Did any of those players, none of those players on that team played in Freedom Hall ever?
Yeah,
did they?
Kyle Keurig did,
Okay.
and
Did he have
Peyton
his
Siegel
big-
played 1 year. He had his best last game in Freedom Hall. He had 22 points.
31 points or something like that?
22.
Was that
All
when
in
they
the
played
second half.
Syracuse?
Yeah, Syracuse was number 1.
Oh, my gosh. I do remember that. All right, here we go, guys. Step once a week. That's right. It's the fastest, simplest, and easiest way to avoid decision fatigue. You pick your plan and pick up at BB's Market with no extra charge. So leave the heavy lifting to us and enjoy healthy eating with stocked meals in your fridge. Order online today at thefreshfork.com. Fresh Fork is a proud partner of WOW Network.
This segment is brought to you by Remax Advanced Realty, Indie Home Pros team by Cheryl Sizemore. Now back to the golf club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Welcome back. It is Wednesday, and we are live from Indianapolis here at the Lucas Oil Stadium for the 2023 Big Ten Football Media Days. And the stars are out. So bright as Rick Bozich joins us, I've got to wear shades. He casts such a well, I've got you to look at, and I've got Shooty here next to me, and I've got that head glaring at me.
It's the lights bouncing off. This ball had
Well, they got
behind
these
us.
TV
Cause-
lights in here, man.
cause
I
for the
can't see.
sunglasses.
What time they getting started up there? 10?
The commissioner will begin start things off, and then and then they'll go from there. And then tomorrow they'll do it all again. But it goes all the way till 5 o'clock is the last speaker, I think. Seems a little bit longer than last year, but maybe not. But wait till next year when
16 teams.
Yeah, and do we already know where we're going next year?
I don't think so. So,
well, if Kevin Warren had anything to do with it,
would be in Minneapolis.
No, it would probably be in Birmingham, which would be okay, I guess.
Put it in L.A.
That'll happen. There's no doubt.
Yeah,
that's going to happen. And although that would be a burden for more teams than not. Well, like last year though, when Big Ten Basketball Media Days was in Minneapolis, I don't know if it was boycotting or what it was, but I was the only media person there, and Indiana has the largest media contingent in the Big Ten.
It's expensive.
So I think it was a combination.
Decide it's not worth the expense to go up there and do it. You can just get what you need from IU at IU Media Day. There's no need to go all the way up there and listen to Chris Collins.
There's more to it than that, because the Indiana media, there's enough of them that will make the trips. Whether it's there's 3, 4, 5 that are really going to cover everything. I was surprised. I was like, I guess it's a boycott, which I didn't want to be there. I'll be honest with you. But I went, and I don't want to go back this spring, but we're going.
So you got to go back this fall. You got to go back this fall because it's media days up there again.
So there's no one here from Penn State.
You just ruined Jim's entire week, Rick.
Yeah,
man.
You've already set the precedent. You have to go.
You're going to have to buy a condo in Minneapolis.
That is not happening. And
Yeah,
Pete just moved back.
Next spring, the men's and women's tournament are up there, right?
Right.
Makes a lot of sense.
I knew the women's was going back.
It's really convenient for
It does
everybody.
in that regard. Oh yeah, it's great. Everybody can't wait.
And it's a basketball hotbed.
Well, I will say this: Minneapolis is a hell of a lot better town than Albany was.
Then what?
Albany.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I don't want to crack on towns, but Albany was vanilla without the bean.
Come on now, they had a few good restaurants.
Did you just come up with that?
Huh?
Did you just come up with that?
I did.
I'm impressed.
I'm quick that way, man.
It was pretty impressive.
I'm quick that
Hollywood
way.
writers on strike. They may have a future. What's that?
Hey, I need something. The TBT happening in Louisville, the Louisville region. They've had a couple games, and the Louisville squad has played and looking kind of good.
Yeah, they played a team from Auburn last night that had some younger dudes that were on Auburn's 2019 Final Four team, and Russ Smith went off for 21, I think, and Peyton Siva had 7 assists, and it was like it was 2013 again. They won 91-67. They'll play again on Thursday at 8 against a team from suburban Memphis and Mo Creek. I saw Mo Creek yesterday, looking good. He played in Uruguay last season. He wants to go back and play another place one more year. Very nice kid. I said, I met you for the first time when you played in this building in the Derby Classic, and he remembered. He walked out on the floor with an IU flag. Remember that?
Oh yeah. Yeah, he's been around, man. He likes the game, and he doesn't want to give it up. He fought to get back from Ukraine last year, and then he played on the team in Medora, there in Medora, Indiana, which was actually, I went and watched the game. It was kind of fun basketball to watch. But yeah, he's trying to find a place to play. I'm surprised he left the sideline cancer. He'd been with them for a while.
Yeah, I didn't ask him enough about that. Maybe if I see him, I'm actually going into this time.
Yes, we concur. We didn't hear what you said. You broke up, so we just looked
I
at each
said
other.
I'm going out to practice again today, and if I see him out there, I'll ask him why he left sideline cancer.
Tell him I said hello, please.
I
Yeah,
will.
I need to get him on. I meant to do that, daggone it. When do they play again?
I think they play at 6:00 tomorrow.
So we'll have to see if we can get Mo on. Maybe we'll try to get Mo on. But it's cool. The fans, this is great for fans of teams, whether it's Louisville or Auburn or Purdue, whomever, to see these guys play again because they love it. And especially a lot of those guys bring back great memories of great times. Not always, but they just seem to enjoy the team aspect of it. Really kind of ignited the TBT, it seems. Not that it wasn't.
Yeah, I mean, especially for the Louisville team. I mean, you got 3 guys that started in the national championship team, the one that was taken away by the NCAA. But they Shane Bohannon, Peyton Sieben, Russ Smith, and then Kyle Keurig played with those guys for. I think he played with Sieben Smith for a couple of years, maybe 2.5. But because the seasons here recently have been so difficult for Louisville, I think fans embraced it. They had 5,400 out there, which is good for a first-time event, because they got so beaten down by the losing last year, and it was pretty cool. Like Jeff Brom showed up, Kenny Payne showed up, Daryl Griffith showed up, Montrezl Harrell, who's still in the NBA, was sitting in the front row, kind of taunting the Auburn players. So it was a cool atmosphere.
Now, did Rick Pitino, he have something to do with pushing these guys up to get this team together?
No, it's one of his former assistants, Mark Lieberman.
Coach at Floyd Central High School.
Coach at Floyd Central, yeah. And Pitino did talk to him by Zoom on Monday. So I suspect Philadelphia, but I suspect if they would get to the finals in Philadelphia, that Pitino will show up, being living in New York City now. He can get down there pretty easily. He's not going to come, but if they would end up getting to the finals and there'd be national TV time, I would think you could write it down.
They have a hell of a squad. I mean, I know everyone that's not a Louisville fan may not know all these guys, but these were all players, man.
No, they got a good team, and they added a couple of guys who are playing overseas. One from Bellarmine, Chris Dow, and one from Eastern Kentucky named Nick Mayo. They have a very good team. They could get to the Final Four. And I think we've talked about this before. It's always been a mystery to me that why Indiana has struggled so much to get all these teams together. You'd think it'd be natural with Bo Creek and Christian Watford and Jordan Hulse and Sheehy and try to do it. I think once and couldn't get it done. You could get Robert Johnson. You could get Josh Newkirk. You could get Devin Davis, Colin Hartman. A lot of these teams have a team. Derek Elston. Yeah, you could have one of these teams.
Yeah, I'm going to have to get on Derek's butt about that. I'm going to text him as well.
Well, I'm going to say this. The University of Louisville itself, the athletic administration here, has embraced it. The AD was out there.
Which it's great publicity.
Great publicity, and it's a way to rally the fan base. And so Kenny Payne, 7 of his players, of the current players on Louisville's team, were out there watching. So it's a good. There's not much going on right now. Good way to create positive vibes and get people talking about your program. And I think
absolutely
that's always a positive.
And it's good for communities like Louisville. I mean, basketball always does well in certain places, Indianapolis, Louisville, places like that. And what a great opportunity to have a regional.
Yep. You got ESPN. Seth Greenberg himself is in here doing the analyst work, so you're getting some national pub on ESPN streaming. Win-win.
What's up next for you?
What are they going to say about the Hoosiers tomorrow? That we know it's going to be 7th place in the Big Ten East in their farewell. What's the over and under is what? 3.5 victories. What are you guys feeling? Over or under? That looks like those faces look like under to me.
Well,
Boy, but
well, I think it's
you hit me the 3-5, and I'm sitting there going, "Oh wow, what's way on this seesaw? Do I want to step?"
Well, the Indiana State is 1 win, and then Akron, that's another one, and then to get to 4, they'd have to beat what? Maybe
you have to beat Rutgers. You've got to, and then in terms of your winnable games,
Louisville
schedule. I don't know if you call Louisville Louisville will definitely be favored. I wouldn't say that should be one of their most winnable ones. You can potentially get Maryland, get Purdue,
Michigan State, since you beat them on the road last
year. Michigan State at home, and you can maybe even. I mean, I don't know how good Illinois is going to be in year 2 under Brett Bielema, but that could be a winnable game.
Yeah, Illinois is talking a lot of smack this year. They think they're going to be pretty good. They got a really good defense, I think. But we'll see. And that game's at Illinois, and Indiana was lucky to win that game last year, so they'll have a hard time.
I'm taking the over, though, and I'm not a betting man, so don't take my word for it.
Yeah.
I'm just curious who you see them beating.
Me?
I think they'll get Rutgers. I think they'll get Michigan State, and then the Indiana State Akron. I think that's at least 4 that they'll get. You're shaking your head like that's out of the realm of possibility.
I think it's in the realm of possibility. I also think that
because I do think it's out of the realm of possibility because I've seen this movie before, boys.
I think the ceiling is probably in that 5 category, though. I feel like you could probably get Purdue.
That's going to be a shocker.
To get 5.
Still not good enough.
I don't you can't even make any definitive judgments right now because you legitimately don't know who the quarterback's going to be. You don't know how good either Brendan Sorsby or Taven Jackson's going to be. And then you have a lot of returning guys that may get like Jalen Lucas. Is he going to end up being somebody who is some sort of difference maker? I mean, we can assume things. That's what this time of year is for. But I don't think it's right to just say that 4 wins or 5 wins is out of the question.
I don't think it's out of the question. I would say 2 things. One is 5 even enough? Don't you have to win 6? Because even if you win 5, it's still 3 straight losing years and not going to a bowl game. The only way you're going to change the narrative about the program is if you get to 6 and you go to a bowl, right?
Yep, you're right. I agree with you there.
And second is it's risky to predict that many because even though they won 4 games last year, they were very fortunate to beat Illinois. They were behind the whole game against Idaho, and there was one other one. I mean, they didn't really blow anybody out. It was like they could have easily been like 2-10 last year.
Yeah, Western Kentucky's the other game you're thinking of where they had
they were behind the whole game. Yeah.
Well, I think, to me, the way I viewed this is because Indiana's not in a position where they're going to go out, especially now with NIL and their backs up against the wall in terms of that. They're not going to be in a position where they're going to go out and try to hire a head coach just to hire a head coach. So I think 5 wins is enough, but I think the caveat to that is you've got to look a lot better against a lot of the teams you play. You can't get beat by 60 points by Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State. You've got to at least be competitive in those games. If you show that sort of improvement, you get to 5 wins, I think Tom Allen is then around next season. It's hard for me to put full eligibility because in today's climate, I don't know that Indiana's going to make that home run hire. I don't know that you fire a guy just to fire a guy.
I'm not saying,
I'm not even talking about that either.
But I don't think they can get 5 wins would be a stretch to me. I would be shocked if they got to that, much less anything beyond that. But again, keep saying football is the engine that drives the train in college sports, and Indiana can only do this for so long, even though they're a good basketball program. They're not Indiana old right now, so they don't even have that to lean on. And as the climate of big-time football continues to change and morph at a higher level, man, you can't be treading water and hope to survive, I don't think.
No, I mean, you can't be down there at the very bottom of the Big Ten. You have to at least be somewhere in the middle. There's no reason you shouldn't be as good as an Iowa, a Wisconsin, or a Minnesota, or a Maryland. I mean, you should be able to beat those teams half the time when you play them. You shouldn't be getting run off the field by those teams. I mean, I don't remember the school. Didn't Maryland just run them off the field last year? I mean, that shouldn't happen.
No, and Indiana just doesn't do like I whether it's Kentucky, coming up with the big wins over Florida after all those years. Indiana finally vanquished the Michigan deal and the Penn State deal. Couldn't quite get rid of Ohio State. Came damn close in 2020, but they just don't seem close enough to me in enough games. There's like they don't have a shot in this game. It's like, damn. They just don't seem competitive enough often enough to me.
Yeah, I mean, you can't keep getting fans excited if they feel like they're not going to get anything in return for their emotional investment. And they were real invested 2 years ago, and then that was just a horrible season, starting with that loss to Iowa. And then, I mean, last year they lose by 3 touchdowns to Cincinnati. That shouldn't happen. Cincinnati doesn't have more resources than Indiana. They lose to Nebraska by 2 touchdowns. They only lost to Maryland by 5. They lost to Rutgers by 7. They lost to Penn State by 31. Ohio State by 42. They beat, you can't post 3 straight losing seasons when they're 2-10, 4-8. You got to get people. You got to give people reason to be optimistic and have some hope.
Here's the funny thing is, and this is ironically funny. In 2020, they should have gone 7-0 in the Big Ten East.
Yeah, they should have.
They should have beaten Ohio State at Ohio State. They fumbled the ball twice inside the 15, and they throw a pick 6 and lose by 1 score after being down 28-7. They should have won that game. They gave that one away. And if they do that, my God, this is a team that's going to the Big Ten championship. But how things have changed since then. But there's been a lot of other changes, coaching changes, and unfortunately not coaching changes when they're needed to have been. So
right, yeah. Tom Allen was slow on the trigger to change the offensive line coach, and that hurt him. And maybe that's one area they're really going to be improved this year, because they improved last year after they brought Rod Carey in to take over the offensive line, and now this Bob Bolstead, I believe it is, they brought him from Wisconsin. His credentials are very good, and they've got 3 or 4 starters back on the offensive line. Until that gets fixed, they're not going to get better, because it was the worst of all worlds. It was couldn't run the ball and couldn't protect the passer, and your quarterback's getting beat up, and the whole team get discouraged, and the defense is on the field all the time because you're going 3 and out. And until that gets fixed, they're not going to make a quantifiable step forward. So we'll see how that goes. Right off the bat against Ohio State.
Is it fair to say that, and I don't know if deserve is the right word, but with next year being the last year of divisions and the last year of Indiana having to play Michigan, Michigan State, Ohio State, and Penn State year after year, is it safe to say that Tom Allen could say, man, give me a year of not having to play through that gauntlet?
Yeah, I mean, depending on how this year goes. I mean, if it's 2-10, I don't think you can. If it's a competitive 5-7 or 4-8, maybe. I don't know. And also, it's going to depend. The one thing that you always have to look at are the crowds. Are people still invested in the program and coming to the games? If you're getting crowds in the high 20,000s, then I don't know if you can. So we'll see how much people are invested in this program. They've got Ohio State at home, and then Indiana State at home, and then Louisville in a neutral site, and then Akron. So they don't really go on the road, I don't believe, for the first 4 weeks, right?
That's correct.
So we'll see right off the bat. Huh? Our fans buying in. Are they buying tickets? I'll be interested to see when they play Louisville at Lucas Oil, who has a bigger crowd.
I can tell you.
To be
Louisville?
Yeah.
But because when they played Ball State there a couple years ago, it was terrible. It was a waste of time, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I remember that.
Obviously, Ball State's not bringing anyone, and Louisville will, because first of all, it's a cool environment. You're going to get to go to an NFL stadium. It's not far away. It's only 2 hours up the road. You're going to go see a game that your team is favored to win. It might be 50-50. It might be like the old
I think
Indiana,
Louisville will have more fans. I think it'll be at least 60-40 Louisville fans.
And honestly, you may have
that would be embarrassing.
Purdue contingent. You may have a Purdue contingent in attendance just because of the relationship with Jeff Brom and Purdue. I mean, you won't get a lot, but you may get some just to show up.
They don't care about that. They don't care about that anymore.
I think it's an important game for another reason is that Jeff Brom and Mark Hagan are going to recruit the heck out of Indianapolis.
Yeah.
And they're going to come up there and try and, make a statement. Kids in that area. They've already got, I think, 1 or 2 in the 24 signing class from the Indianapolis area.
Well, and they would be successful at it if they start having success. And Jeff Brom made a wise move because he has a hell of a lot better shot at getting to a football championship or in the playoffs or even further along out of the ACC than he does at Purdue.
I agree. He made his debut yesterday at the ACC Media Day. I'll be interested to see where Louisville's picked to finish in the ACC. They junked the divisions this year, so there's no more. They've got a good schedule, Louisville. They don't have to play Florida State or Clemson or North Carolina, the 3 best teams in the ACC.
And you remember, I know John says we've got to take a break here real quick, but just a few years ago, 2017, Jeff Brom made his debut in this building he took a really bad Purdue team against a Louisville team that was in the college football playoff contention, Lamar Jackson, a Heisman Trophy winner, and he almost beat him here. So I think there's going to be a lot of hype and excitement, not just for the Louisville-Indiana game at Lucas Oil Stadium, but just throughout the season because of how quickly he was able to turn a really bad Purdue team into not a contender in the West, but at least a bowl-eligible team.
Right.
We've got to take a quick break. We'll find out what Rick's up to, and I think Indiana should start having post-football game concerts. We'll talk about that, too. Back with more Indiana Sports Beat Radio coming to you live from Lucas Oil Stadium here in Indianapolis, site of the 2023 Big Ten Football Media Days.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
If you're in the market.
Are you going to stick around for one more segment, Rick, or do you got to go?
No, I can stay.
Okay.
Dustin, where are you going? Where the hell are you going? He just left.
He may have went to use the restroom.
No, I think he took it over. He might not come back. Who knows?
No, I mean, maybe he won't, but he said he would stick around until the last segment.
Is he working for the Fort Wayne paper?
No, that's Dylan Sin.
Oh, okay. What's Dustin doing?
Dustin works for the Outsider, which is under the
There's
umbrella
the subsidiary of like On 3 or something.
Oh, okay.
3, but it's not much sports.
Okay. Did I read something too that Indiana's got some kid that was going to Air Force or something visiting for basketball because they're concerned about Newton or? I read that on Peaks.
They were. What's his name? They had his name up here a minute ago. Jordan Radford.
Right.
He plays with a kid from Floyd Central, Jake Heidbreder.
He's in the portal. I thought he went in the portal.
He did.
He didn't leave? He stayed?
I don't know if he's gone anywhere yet or not. But the people asking earlier if it was him, I'm like, I don't know. He can shoot. I didn't think he was. He's more like probably not as good as. Oh, daggone it, Joey Hart.
I don't think
I
Joey
can't
Hart
believe he went to Kentucky and he's not even going to be.
Go back to the running back.
He won't see the floor at Kentucky unless they just have a bunch of injuries.
Right.
They ain't worried about you.
He didn't have to, brother.
I don't think he got on the court much when they were in Canada, did he?
I never heard much about his stats up there, so that's probably correct.
There we go.
You are correct, sir.
You are correct, sir. All right, 30 seconds. I'll go ahead and pull us back in.
Hospitality's Wow Club is located next door to Southern Stone Restaurant on Patterson and Rogers. It's one of the most popular gathering spots in Bloomington. Whether you're out on a date with your spouse, friends, or coworkers, Feast Market and Cellar offers an extensive wine selection with a sommelier on staff to help you with your selections. Feast also provides a wide variety of cheeses, gourmet sandwiches, entrees, a coffee bar, bread, pastries, all made fresh and mouthwatering. Stop by Feast Market and Cellar today.
This segment is brought to you by Feast Market and Cellar. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio here on this Wednesday, coming to you live from Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis, side of 2023 Big Ten Football Media Days. Indiana up tomorrow. Tom Allen will join us on the program tomorrow as well. In addition to Jalen Lucas, All-American, Aaron Casey, and Noah Pierre. And we'll see what else we can scare up. Rick Bozich with us right now, along with Dustin Schutte. I think Indiana should start having post-football game concerts, Rick. They have such problems keeping people and selling people. Why not use that stupid stadium for something? Have a concert.
You know, I like your idea. I mean, I think they need some thinking outside the box to get people to come and be part of the product. I will say this, over the last couple of years, it seems like the students have gotten more into football. I've seen bigger student turnouts. They've even stayed at some of the games that were, quote, not that competitive. But I agree with you. They need to try every method they can to get more people in the building, because as you said earlier, football is the financial engine, and when you're averaging low 40s per game, and you're playing 6 or 7 home games, and your opponents are getting 90,000 for 8 home games, that's a lot of money that you're losing out on. And is it going to change overnight? No. Is it ever going to change? Not to where the gap is totally closed, but they need to at least maximize what they have and become what Kentucky is in the SEC, become what Kansas State's become in the Big 12, become what Oregon used to be a doormat in the Pac-12, and they decided that they weren't going to be one anymore. And they've done part of the job. They started under Fred Glass with improving the facilities and modernizing the stadium and then closing it. But you can't let up, because when you let up, the other teams never let up. And you look at how bold Wisconsin was this year. They went out and said, you know what? We don't like our coach. We're firing him in the middle of the year because he's underachieving, and we're going to go take your coach who took your team to the Cincinnati to the playoffs last year, and that's what they did. Bang. And I guarantee, and look at what Nebraska did. They went and hired an NFL coach. I mean, if you're going to be in the Big 12, in the Big 10, you've got to act like you're in the Big 10.
Absolutely. And I know this is kind of petty. I was talking to Dustin about it earlier. Northwestern has brand new training facilities on the lake that are gorgeous. Purdue, brand new training facilities that are gorgeous. And I know that everything doesn't have to be about keeping up with the Joneses, but certain things are. And Indiana has always been 10 steps behind when they'll take 5 steps, but they're still 5 steps behind without anybody else moving forward again. And it kind of stays there, kind of like you were suggesting. But even the indoor football practice facility that they share with everybody, but that thing could use a coat of paint in the worst way and some lights. I'm like, make this thing look nice. It does not. It looks like a freaking morgue. And I'm like, dude, just splash some paint up here and some lights.
No, you're right. They need to upgrade it. It's not even air conditioned either, right?
Nope.
They need to build a new one is what they need to build. That's easy for me to say. I don't have to come up with the money, and they have so many other financial demands they have to deal with. But you got to find a way to invest a high percentage of your money into football and then get some return on it by getting more people interested in football and coming to the games and donating to football.
Well, they had such an opportunity, Rick, and I don't think I'm saying anything crazy here. There was so much hype and momentum around Tom Allen, around the program, about finally this is Indiana's time. Probably the best shape the program was in since the Bill Mallory days. And after coming up that 2020 season, there was so much excitement. A lot of people were buying up tickets. They wanted to see this team.
Right.
And then you just lay an egg in 2021, and then you follow it up in 2022. There was a lot of lost potential there where I'm not saying, I'm like you, I'm not going to say that they're going to sell out every home game anytime in the near future. I'm not saying that they're going to be, hosting capacity crowds every single week. But there was an opportunity there to draw in. Not just you could have built for the future. Get some of those younger fans invested. Get more people who are football invested coming to your school. And it just feels like after that season, after 2021, the fan base went, here we go again. Why am I going to invest my time and my money in this if this is what it's going to be like? I'll just go get my tickets on StubHub for $15 and sit wherever I want outside Memorial Stadium. So I can't speak enough about how not just the fact that they were worse in 2021, but the fact that it was so bad that season. They lost so much momentum when they could have really done what you talked about, beating the Minnesotans, beating the Iowas, Illinois half the time. Fans would be ecstatic with that if they got to a bowl game 3 times out of every 5 years.
Coaching. All day long.
Yeah, I mean, it's coaching, and it's also a commitment by the administration that football matters. And mediocrity is not going to be accepted, and that includes facilities, that includes, support staff, that includes everything else that you have to be competitive in the Big Ten. I mean, you can't always try to overachieve. That's not a good strategy.
No, and Ed, so Ed say that he always leaves after the third quarter. Well, I'm going to say shame on you, Ed. First of all, traffic ain't that damn bad in Bloomington.
No, it's not.
So you've got no excuse there. Stay and support your team. I don't care whose team you are. Support them. I get it, but traffic's not that bad. That's not.
Well, they're back in a position this year, though, where they got to earn people's attention and earn people's trust again. I mean, people aren't
getting tired of that, I think.
Huh?
People are getting tired of the. It's
yeah, but I mean, that's where they're at. I mean, they need to go out there and be reasonably competitive against Ohio State. This can't be one of those 59-10 games.
No, I mean, and they've played them well for the most part, except for there were a couple times where they did get just destroyed, 55-10 or whatever.
Yeah, last year was pretty bad, I think.
Yeah. When they first opened up with them on a Thursday night a few years back, it was
that was close to like a half, I think, right? That was in college game day.
3 quarters. Quarters, about 3 quarters. It was a 1-point game, and then it was a 3-score game.
Yeah, then Ohio State ran away with it. They did Ohio State, but to that point, I feel like even if the final score is 49-21, but you're in the game, you're within a touchdown or two for 3 quarters, 3+ quarters. I think that's another thing that shows fans this is a step in the right direction. We were competitive with the best of the Big Ten. They just haven't. I mean, you roll the helmets out there, the game's over in these games right
now. The Cincinnati game in 21 when they lost
Micah McFadden
got ejected, and how that completely not only changed that game. And I'm not saying that Cincinnati wouldn't have come back and won. They were a second-half team. But, man, Indiana was dominating them. And if Indiana wins that game, I wonder how that changes the trajectory of that season. And then once that season gets changed, because that season just went into the toilet.
Yeah, it did. This year it's what? Ohio State, then a Friday night game against Indiana State. You got to win that. Just looking at the schedule, they probably have to beat Louisville to get to a bowl game. Then they got Akron. You win that, you're 3-1. At Maryland, they're probably not going to win. What's that? 3-2. At Michigan, they're going to lose 3-3. Rutgers at home, you can win 4-3. At Penn State, you lose 4-4. Wisconsin at home, I'll give them that one.
Luke Fickell.
Well, that's their first year. At Illinois, I don't think they'll win. Michigan State at home, they can win. Purdue on the road. So, they're going to end up being between 3-9 and 6-6, and they need to be closer to 6-6 than 3-9.
I agree with you, man. What's coming up next for you?
TBT tomorrow night, and then probably TBT on Saturday, and then I will not be here next week. I'm taking a little trip with my wife to North Carolina for a short vacation, and then I'll be back and ready for football.
Where in the Tar Heel State?
We're going up in the mountains somewhere to get out of the heat.
Oh, very cool. I'm used to snow up there. Beach, and, ski beach, and sugar.
What's that now?
Beach, mountain, and sugar mountain. I used to ski up there.
Oh, I'm not sure where this is. This is outside of Nashville somewhere. Yeah.
Did you say Asheville?
It's out about an hour away from Asheville. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you're down at the bottom. This was up in the northern part. But I've got a bunch of friends that are in Nashville right now traveling through there. Well, brother, have fun. We appreciate you.
All right.
Maybe we'll see you in Louisville. I'll try to get down there. I want to try to get down and see a TBT game.
Yeah. I want to hear a full report from you guys on what they say about Indiana tomorrow.
Absolutely. And I'll have to reach out to you to see who's the SID for the TBT.
All right. Okay.
Rick Bozich from WDRB.com. Make sure you give him a follow. Appreciate you, my friend. We're back with more Indiana Sports Beat Radio coming to you live from Indianapolis, Lucas Oil Stadium, and the 2023 Big Ten Football Media Day.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
We should go down to TBT.
Hey, Dustin, you would know the answer to that, or maybe you wouldn't. Is Talia Tagovailoa, is he still in Maryland?
Yes.
Okay. I kind of forgot that, but yeah, if that's the case, I don't think I'll be giving Indiana the edge in that one.
I'm not trying to be negative. I never am. I'm just being honest, man. Until they give me a reason to think otherwise.
That's fair. The nature of me though is just like we really don't know how good or bad the quarterback and the offensive line are going to be, and the defense for that matter.
But guess what? If I had to bet without knowing, you know which way I'm going to bet.
Yeah, but I don't see them taking a step back. I could see them being stagnant. And what I mean by that is winning 4 games.
I
think they win at least 4. I don't see them winning less than 4.
I can't think of Howard's last name. What was Howard's? Where'd he go? What? What's his name still with him? DiNardo?
Yeah, he was here.
Oh, he was.
Does DiNardo still have a restaurant in Bloomington?
No, but he still has an 812 phone number.
What was his restaurant?
Some Italian restaurant. I got my picture with him and Stoops 2 years ago. Because Stoops started off the season as a Fox analyst and ended it as a fucking Oklahoma coach.
The interim, yeah. I remember that.
Howard, how are you, buddy?
Doing well. How are you?
Working hard? That's what it's like to hear. You're about to be.
I'm about to. Real quick. I got to do it.
Oh, that's the Illinois guy.
That's what we just said.
We're in Illinois running.
I wasn't paying attention. I just was looking to see who it was.
I don't know what this song is.
Sounds like Justin Bieber.
That's what I was
That could
thinking
be.
too. It's like,
I was saying,
get
I could be
Mitchell on
wrong,
the
but
phone,
it
see if
could
we
be
can
just.
break it down.
Were they playing
There's
Taylor
no way I would
Swift
know
earlier
that,
too?
so.
I didn't
Tomorrow, we've got to get somebody to take some pictures when we got people sitting here. Great background.
Alex coming back. Alex.
Jim only hires Alec. Oh, like Alex. He had Alec Lasley and now Alec Bussey.
That's the name of the
site
of the
era.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, here we go, guys.
Southern Stone Restaurant provides delicious 5-star comfort food with a Southern charm at 2-star prices. Southern Stone Restaurant is part of Endeavor Hospitality's Wow Club.
This segment is brought to you by Courtroom Sports Grill in Bedford. Now back to the golf club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio here on this Wednesday, July 25. Appreciate you being with us as we're coming to you from downtown Indianapolis, the Lucas Oil Stadium, home of the Indianapolis Colts. But today, the 2023 Big Ten Media Days for football that goes on today and tomorrow. Dustin, looking forward to asking some questions today. He's not going to spill the beans and tell you what the questions are, and I can promise you they will probably have nothing to do with football.
My goal.
What are you going to ask Beelam? What his favorite kind of bratwurst is?
That would be a good question, but no. I've got my questions written down. I've been rehearsing them. We'll see if I can get a microphone. Now the problem is that I may only get it one time. I will rest of these. I do have some actual football questions sprinkled into the mix here, so that way I can keep it relevant.
You can't sprinkle it in because you're not going to get anything to sprinkle. Give me an example of a question that you're going to ask. It doesn't have to be the question, just as a.
Well, okay, I'll give you an example here that I'll just throw this one out because James Franklin's a popular guy, so I may not get the microphone. But he posted a photo last night, and he and his team, they were out at St. Elmo's. I think the owner is a Penn State grad. I was going to get his opinion on the shrimp cocktail. I feel like that's a good question, right?
It is. But like I said, I think that's probably best for the breakouts.
Maybe, but the problem is that you can't always get to the breakout session because those guys are so popular. So
but you can always get a question in at those events. But
I get raised my hand. I got multiple opportunities.
But you know what?
BTN or whether it's over here, I'm gonna try to have some fun with this.
I wanted to see about getting the St. Elmo's people down here. We had to try to.
I wonder if they're walking around somewhere like hospitality.
No, but they were here for the NFL Combine when I was up here, and they were doing samples of the shrimp. And I did it live on the air, like I said, and it was hot. It was hot.
It'll get to you. I have a bottle of it. I had some shrimp in the cocktail sauce last night.
It's no hotter. I can promise you one thing. It's no hotter than the creamy horseradish sauce.
They probably I thought that they used that in the cocktail sauce. I thought horseradish was the key.
I think that's exactly what they put in. So this is without the ketchup. The creamy horseradish is basically without the ketchup.
So that would be pretty hot stuff.
But I love it. I mean, I don't know how we got off on that. He wants to ask the coach what opposing player would be a good WWE recruit. Which coach?
I didn't even see the question. Ask the coach which opposing player. Oh, okay, gotcha. I see that question. So we've talked about this before. I think we talked about it on the show a few weeks ago, where some of these student athletes get the opportunity to try out for the WWE.
Cavender twins.
There's been some guys from Joe Spivak from Northwestern.
I've seen it, yeah.
There's a lot of guys
doing well.
There's been a lot of guys that have played college football or college basketball and have gone into that realm, that is a good question. Which opposing player? I would probably ask which player on their own team. They're probably going to have a better understanding of that.
Yes.
But that's not a bad question.
Yes.
So if I like that,
I agree with you.
Add that to the repertoire here.
I agree with you. Which on your team would make the best WWE wrestler?
I think that's a great question. Good. Shout out to Philip. That's a great question. One I had.
So tomorrow, when we have Tom Allen on and Jalen Lucas on and Aaron Casey on and Noah Pierre on, we're going to ask all of them as well.
Yeah, I like that plan. I'm going to write it down right here so I got a note. Ask IU best WWE.
There's James Franklin, as you can see him behind us. As he's walking by, there's Penn State coach James Franklin. For those of you that are on YouTube, you can see that. If you're on radio, you can't see
it. No, you just have to believe it.
Yeah, you have to believe it. So, of course, I think you can hear him.
Let's just talk about real quick. We've talked about this the last couple of times we've been here. The fact that this is
Daryl Thompson.
This is such a much better.
It's Anthony Thompson's brother.
There you go.
Oh, no. You know who that is? I'm drawing a mind. I'm sorry. Race Thompson's father. And I wish we could, if he gets a break, we've got what, 10? Oh, we've got a couple segments left, right?
It's going to go to JTP.
Yeah.
You only have one more break left, actually. So it's this segment.
So we've got a last segment.
Correct.
You know what? I'm going to.
You gonna mosey on out of here?
Let's pull up Caleb Banks and hear from Caleb, and then hopefully hear from CJ.
Yeah, I've got two from both of them. You want to go through all four?
Yeah, Caleb, of course, asked about where he fits into the roster, and then how he's adjusted.
They wanted me to take that big step next year. The flashes I shown last year, they just wanted me to improve off that. I feel like I fit in well with this team this year. I know it's a lot of new guys and a lot of returning people, but I try to lead on the new guys, show them what we're about and stuff like that. Looking back at my first year, I feel like I did well with adjusting to the learning curve. I think I adjusted pretty quickly, I would say, as a freshman. But shout out to the leaders from last year's team, like Miller Kopp and some of the other guys. I feel like I struggled with how long the season can be and how the ups and downs can come at you, just how to react to those.
Caleb Banks, he's one that's he's gonna have to show some improvement this year. Not that he didn't play well last year and played hard, he did. But I say that only because it's a situation to where when it's time for you to start moving up and you don't, that's when that's what happened to Jordan Geronimo last year. A lot of expectations for him. People thought that he was going to do this and do that, and he was just never a very good offensive basketball player. And that didn't change, and it wasn't going to change, and therefore there was a change. So, but that's just something to keep in mind because you've got these guys that are coming at you all the time. Whether it's Caleb Banks or he's got the guys that are coming in, not Gabe Cup so much, but why am I drawing a blank? Kid from Georgia. You should know him.
I should.
He did our interview with us shirtless.
I'm in football mode, so I'm also drawing a blank. But
did you play both of those clips, John?
I did, and the person you're trying to think of is Ja'Kai Newton.
Sorry. Let's take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to have a special guest for you. A little surprise. Back before Indiana Sports Beat Radio, coming to you from Lucas Oil Stadium right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
How you been, man? Good to see you. How's Race doing?
If you don't, he's a little jobber down right now because he's ready to finish his knee, but he got good news from the doctor saying he's not going to do surgery.
Is that 90 yard last year?
It's not even the same. He's doing all right.
Do you mind imagining that that experience is so over the next 2 days,
will he get a two-way or anything?
I don't want to win talk to him that much until see how it works. He'll take a one-way, two-way, three-way.
Indianapolis Colts, the Indiana Sports Corp, serving as our host of an absolutely perfect venue for this event.
How many is this for you, man?
We have many of our partners here today, including representatives from 12 sports. We greatly appreciate the work that you and volunteers do to provide memorable experiences for student athletes, coaches, staff, and fans. Special thank you to Big Ten teams who made San Diego a trip to USA, beginning with Michigan's first trip in 1902. Ross Bowl is about the center of the history of the Big Ten. Thank you, Bill.
I don't know what he drinks or eats, man.
And college athletes. It's been great to be in this past few months.
Wouldn't surprise me. He plays golf about every day.
BTN, Fox, CBS, NBC.
He's doing it right. Yeah, I don't think he's like a drinker, smoker.
A special welcome to our four new coaches. David Braun from Northwestern, Ryan Wallace from Purdue.
He stayed in excellent shape.
All of our coaches have been very generous in giving their time.
How are things with you?
Good. It's ready to get back into this merry-go-round. I was so happy after last basketball season. I was so tired. But I'm ready.
Thank you to the Big Ten Council presidents and
It's fun this year. Last year of the divisions, you guys got freaking 4 new coaches from the West.
All right, 30 seconds, guys.
April in Bloomington, the former Function Brewery, Metalworks Brewing Company is the culmination of a passion for beer, food, and custom metal art. Check out their custom growlers. Metalworks Brewing Company has an updated menu, new brews, and will be offered in all Endeavor Hospitality restaurants. Come taste with Dr. Hobbs' Brewing. Metalworks Brewing Company. Bring your passion and your thirst.
This segment is brought to you by Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio here on this Wednesday, July 25th, coming to you from Indianapolis, Lucas Oil Stadium, site of the 2023 Big Ten Football Media Days, and I'm very fortunate to be joined by a former well-known running back in the Big Ten, a well-known player for the Vikings, used to host a sports show, and if you don't know him from any of that, he has a son named Race, and both of their last names is Thompson. So that should clue you in. Daryl Thompson, thank you so much, man.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Saw him last year in Vegas. Was walking around with Dean Garrett. That was amazing. Walk around with Dean out there is it's like walking around with the president. Dino. I mean, didn't matter where we went. What a great guy. But I found out that you guys used to host a TV sports show together.
We did. We did a little sports show together. It's probably been 18 or 19 years ago. Just when he got out of the league, it was an opportunity for us to, be on TV, talk about sports. It's kind of a roundtable type of piece, and that's how we got to be friends. And a great guy. He was pretty excited that my son was a Hoosier. So it's kind of a small world situation that comes up when you have people in common, and to be out there in Vegas with him. You're right. He is kind of the mayor of the city.
Yeah, and everything doesn't always work out for everyone as far as where they grow up or live and get to work, especially when it comes to pro sports or sports in general. But man, you've had a pretty touched life in getting to play for Minnesota and getting to play for the Vikings, and then you've been working for the Gophers.
I've been working at, oh yes, and I've been broadcasting for University of Minnesota. Actually played for the Packers, and now I've been broadcasting for University of Minnesota now going on 26 years.
That's just, it's got to be awesome just to be able to stay in one spot. I mean, not exactly one, but the same region.
No, it has been. It's been a blessing. I think that's one of the reasons I probably never really went into the coaching piece. I think for me, I know my friends that coaches that hired and fired. At least me, my friends probably are in their mid-50s, 6, 7, 8 times. But I know it just happens. No matter what, things are going wherever you're at. Eventually, something happens, and they gotta get a new staff, or someone gets elevated, or somebody wants to move somewhere else. So, being able to be in the broadcast to be able to offer a little more stability, I've been able to enjoy it.
And the people in Minnesota, they love their sports. I was griping earlier because we had to go up there for basketball media days, and we got to go back up there. It's just kind of out of the way for us, but it's a great city. It's one thing I said, what's better than Albany, where I had to go last year, so trust me. But it's a good area. One of my best friends just moved back from there. He's been there for a long time. But the people love their sports, man. They showed out at the women's basketball tournament. I think they sold that thing out. It was the biggest attendance they'd ever had.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think Caitlin Clark had a lot to do with that, but it was a lot of fun. People do appreciate women's sports in Minnesota. We have Lynx have had a great tradition, but we have the Vikings and the Gophers. Obviously, hockey is a huge deal in Minnesota. People start their kids playing hockey almost, from the time they can walk, they put skates on. So we do certainly appreciate sports in the Twin Cities.
Someone is the former freshman of the year in this league. You've been doing the broadcasting for Minnesota. So this is the last year for divisions. Minnesota has had some success under PJ, but there are teams that have Indiana, Rutgers. There's maybe one or two others that have just been struggling. Just getting rid of these divisions, especially for someone like Indiana who's having to play Michigan State, Penn State.
I mean, it's still going to be. I just think it's going to be a challenge no matter what. I mean, we're kind of in that middle range too with you guys, and I think the Ohio States and Michigan, USC's. I think it's going to be interesting. It's going to be challenging to decide who you play, how you travel, all those things are going to be. And I think football is probably going to be the easiest. I mean, thinking about basketball, some of the others are going to be a little bit more challenging. But I think it's going to be really interesting to see how the schedules get laid out and where people lie. We're still whatever we are now. It's going to be a challenge for Big 18, whatever it is. Yeah,
I think it'll be 16.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think
it'll be 16. The division's going away. I'm going to be happy about that because it kind of opens up more scheduling. It opens up different things, and then you're bringing in UCLA and USC. Obviously, that's really exciting for fans. A little weird for those of us that are kind of traditionalists, but it is what it is. So I'm kind of pushing myself past tradition.
We've been, I mean, to me, when Rutgers and Maryland came in, I was like, oh, that's Penn State. Everything was kind of, really, that was when I was just like, I just got to kind of change my mindset around. It's not going to be, Indiana, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan State. It's going to be start going to other places. Now we're basically covering the entire United States, coast to coast.
And Minnesota is, like I said, they're obviously more success than Indiana and Rutgers, but they're not in the realm of Michigan and Ohio State and all that. With NIL now, how that has changed, is that going to help or hurt a team like Minnesota?
I think it hurts a little bit in the beginning. We have work to do to get caught up. Actually, I think we're behind Indiana right now, just as far as being able to recruit players. Because it's kind of like the final question. I like the coach, I like the community, I like my teammates. Okay. And then the kid kind of looks blankly. He's like, what's the package look like? I can't. It's hard for me to fathom. But that's just kind of part of it nowadays. Everything else is all equal. Okay, great. I want to be there. Good community, good fan base. Now, what's the last piece? That last piece is NIL for pretty much all kids.
Have you been rowing the boat in the off season?
I've been rowing. I've been training. I'm the Peloton, rowing the boat. You name it. I'm trying. I gotta get in shape. I got grandkids now. I gotta chase them around.
That usually will keep you in shape. Race Thompson was a member of the Knicks Summer League team, which was very, very cool and surprising for that. He dealt with some injuries through that, but how's things going for Race?
He got good news yesterday. Race got his knee got hyperextended in training camp, or whatever they call it for basketball, with the Knicks. So he got sent home about 2 weeks ago. So, they found out that it's not a tremendous, but they'll still treat it for like 3 weeks. He can start rehabbing in about 3 weeks, and hopefully get back on the court and try to make his way into play professional baseball. That's his goal.
Anything with the Knicks that's coming up once he gets through that, or does he just start?
I think we'll have to wait and see. What happens with them, injuries, other players, and opportunities. If he's got to go to another team, and if he ends up going overseas, or what, just have to wait and see.
And there are a ton of former IU players playing, whether it's in this league or overseas. Jordan Holes, who just came back, is coaching now. He had a 10-year run. Joji Farrell, who was just in the league, is over there somewhere. Mo Creek, who's playing in the TBT, is over there. Just so many guys that are playing, and it's a great way to make a living.
If I could dribble a basketball or run a football to make a living, I always tell any young guys that I'm around, mentoring, or just having a conversation, I say, play until they tell you can't. You're injured, or they say you're not quite good enough, you don't quite have enough speed, or quite enough height, or quite enough length, or then let it go. But that's it. You'll never get another chance to run around and sweat and block shots and tackle people for a living. So until you can't or don't.
Done with the kids? No more kids in school?
Race is our youngest, so yeah, we're done. We are empty nesters. Obviously, we got dogs and kids.
Is that a good thing that you don't have to worry about it watching? Not worry about watching, but the things that go along with watching your kids win or lose.
It is sometimes exhausting watching it. We've been really blessed. We've been for almost 14 or 15 years from our oldest daughter, now that's 30 years old, and giving us a grandchildren playing volleyball in Wisconsin, through our other kids to race the last 5.5, 6 years at IU. Been going to sporting events, hotels, and traveling all over the country. So it'll be different to not be turning on the TV and trying to, or figuring out how to get, the hotels and the travel flights and everything, and maybe a little bit of a raise for us to not have the cash shooting out the sideways like that.
And we've got football season coming up here, so I know you're excited about that. What, after these couple of days here for media days, what are you going to be doing for the next 6 weeks until season starts?
Well, probably going to practice a little bit just to see what our team looks like and to get ready for the season. I'm excited. We have some new blood. It's the first team that the first year that Coach Fleck will have all of his own players that he has recruited, which I think is kind of healthy and a good thing. Usually when a coach comes in, it takes 2 or 3 years to turn over a program, get all your own players in there. But now with COVID and red shirts and medical red shirts, I mean, we had some young men that were here 6 or 7 years. But now everyone is, I think, on his program, on the same page with him, which is a good thing.
Well, and Minnesota's fortunate because they're one of the programs, definitely in the West, that is been able to hold on to their coach to keep some continuity, which in this day and age I know is extraordinarily important, especially with the transfer portal. New players every year. I can't imagine the difficulty
of maintaining continuity on a football team when you have an influx of that many new players every year?
I can't imagine it. I just can't. From a football player, you think about the opportunity, and then if somebody has a good year, other teams and other coaches are reaching out to that young man and saying, maybe you should go play my team. And it's hard for a young man to look at his bank account and say, well, I'm just going to stay here. So it's certainly a different time. And, but, I think that the kids are ready. It's also just kind of part of the evolution of, college and professional sports. I think we had our favorite player, I really love Fran Tarkenton, played for the Vikings for 20 years. But that's not the case. People are going to move. They're going to change teams. They're going to try to, form their own, alliances. So it's a different time. Just got to gauge
Daryl Thompson, I cannot thank you enough, man. Can you imagine Daryl Thompson and Anthony Thompson in the same backfield?
It would be great.
That would have been fun to watch.
It could have been the Thompson twins.
I'm telling you, it would have been the original, man. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you. Good seeing you. Good luck to Minnesota this year. Does India play Minnesota? I can't remember. I don't think so this year. Won't be seeing you again this year until maybe the Big Ten Championship.
I hope so.
Thank you. Appreciate you. Good luck. Daryl Thompson joining us here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Of course, the color or play-by-play?
Analyst. Yeah,
color analyst for the Michigan Gophers or Minnesota Gophers, Golden Gophers. Also former Packers player, Ray Thompson's father as well. It has been an absolute fun day, John Boy. Do we need another break, or we?
Yeah, we'll keep going. He can step away. We don't have any more breaks to hit.
Okay. But yeah, it's been a fun one. Tomorrow on the program, don't forget Tom Allen, Jalen Lucas, Aaron Casey, Noah Pierre. That's in addition to who else we got, John Boy?
Well, we may move some people around. We may or may not hear from Matt Taylor and Chris Denary, but we'll try to check in with Dylan Sin for sure. Do you want to have Matt and Chris on still? Even though we're doing college football all day, we don't have to. I mean, doing a little pre-show prep live on the air.
Yeah, we're going to be so packed tomorrow. The people probably just need to. We'll stick with what we've got going on because there's so much that we'll have tomorrow.
We are. Tomorrow is the day for the Hoosiers for Big Ten Media Days. So
and don't forget the CEO for the Peach Bowl.
That's right.
I sent that to you as well. So we got that as well. There's so much going on tomorrow. It's crazy. Friday, and it doesn't stop there, people. Friday, make sure you tune in. Trent Sisley, one of IU basketball's top targets from Heritage Hills, will join us. And then on Monday, Mitt Winter, the attorney dealing with NIL and NCAA and all that kind of junk. Your questions, and we can talk about what's going on, what's going where, how's it's going to go, this, that, and the other thing. You have those CJ Gunn clips, my friend?
I do. We can let's check in with CJ Gunn. This first one here, as I pull it up here. He's talked about what he's been working on over the summer and what he hopes to improve as the season draws near.
Coming into my second year, I think just being more comfortable out on the floor and just knowing what he wants, and just the standard that we set last year is what I have to bring this year and learn how to lead the team and now be an older guy and help lead the younger and the new guys and to bringing them into our culture and into our family. And to hopefully go further in the tournament than we did this year and getting the Big Ten title.
There was CJ Gunn talking with the media about what he needs to do, what he's going to do. Is that the only clip you have?
No, we got one more. He talks about learning to be comfortable being uncomfortable.
I mean, it's a challenge, but, that's what I'm here for. I didn't come here to be comfortable. I came here to be pushed outside my element and to get used to being comfortable with being uncomfortable, So I see it as a great opportunity for me to take my game to the next level.
Indiana fans have to love hearing that from anybody, but when it comes that naturally, you can tell that's not press speak. He means it, and that's what will make that team better, because they are going to have guys that are going to be pushing each other. Again, we thought that they were really deep last year, but they weren't getting pushed. Who was pushing Trace Jackson Davis? Who was pushing Tamar Bates? Who was pushing Jordan Geronimo? It just didn't happen. And although there are a lot of new faces because of that, you don't have the incumbents. We knew that virtually the entire starting lineup before the season started. Miller Kopp's going to start. Trace Jackson Davis is going to start. Race Thompson's going to start. Xavier Johnson's going to start. Trey Galloway was going to start. We knew that. And it's exactly how it was until Xavier got hurt and then Race got hurt. And that changed things. And they were able to get somewhat away with those guys not being pushed up to that point. But then they needed them, and they weren't there. I think that this is going to be a different team. These guys are all young. They're all hungry. They want to play. Gabe Cupps wants to play. Jalen wants to play. CJ Gunn wants to play. Khalil Ware wants to play. Malik Bernou wants to play. Jordan Sparks wants to play. They all do. So it's going to be interesting to see the mix on who does get better. Who improves their game? Who has earned more minutes? Who's earned that opportunity? Saw a little bit with Caleb last year. You know, he made the most of his minutes when he was in there. It'll be interesting and fun to find out. It's been an interesting and fun day.
Between Caleb Banks and CJ Gunn, who do you think will – I know they play different positions, but who do you see kind of fighting their way into that rotation more likely than the other?
I don't know. That's a good question, man. I think CJ has a little less competition
Yeah, he'll likely if the starting lineup stands. Go ahead.
It's CJ and Trey Galloway, with Trey Galloway starting, and then of course, daggone it,
Johnson.
Somebody else I was thinking. Yeah, no, but I'm thinking somebody else at the two, another two guard.
Is Anthony Walker the transfer from Miami? Is he a two?
Nah, he's 6'9". He's a big guy.
So many new faces.
Kent says he likes the concert idea. You know what I was thinking is tomorrow, I would imagine Scott Dolson will be here. I'm going to propose that to Scott Dolson. And when I do, you all have to make sure you throw up, yes, this is a great idea. It's a great idea. The Indiana Sports Beat Radio Concert Series.
Imagine that. The Memorial Stadium Concert Series brought to you by ISB, Indiana Sports Beat.
Why'd you already change it? Indiana Sports Beat Radio Concert Series.
Either one.
No, not either one. I'm the marketing person here. Indiana Sports Beat Radio Concert Series.
Who would be your
Memorial
first act?
Stadium.
Who'd be your first guest or first show?
Well, that's a great question, but it would require me to do some thinking because we have to be realistic. All right, so what are we looking at? Or how many tickets are they really expecting to sell? What kind of artist are they going to try to reach? Or I don't think you can do one to the kids. You can, but then that's going to leave out everybody else. So, I mean, why not get some good old rock and roll dudes, man? Mellencamp they should have done Farm Aid.
Hey,
of course, it's during football season. That wouldn't have worked out, but it would have been a good idea, right?
Yeah. I'm down for the concert series, but it's interesting.
But that's a good question. But that's a good question though. On who?
I think you definitely see
Elvis.
Anderson. I don't know what kind of draw he would have because he's kind of a regular in Bloomington.
Yeah, I'm talking bigger, more well-known.
Yeah, but here's the thing, though. If you're doing it on...
You need to draw people in. They need to draw people in from outside of Bloomington. This needs to be a draw. Use that damn stadium. Use Memorial Stadium for something other than graduation.
30 seconds.
We've got a lot coming up tomorrow. We're back here at Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis, site of 2023 Big Ten Football Media Days. Loaded tomorrow. Tom Allen, head coach for Indiana, will be with us. Jalen Lucas, our All-American running back. Aaron Casey and Noah Pierre. Dustin Schutte will be back. And the CEO of the Chick-fil-A Bowl. So don't forget about that, John Boy. We've got a ton coming up, man. And then on Friday, Trent Sisley. So we've got a lot coming up this week. Cannot thank you enough for being with us. As always, we appreciate you guys. Go out, have yourselves a great day. Big thanks to Dustin Schutte today and Rick Bozich as well. John, the producer, for keeping us between the white lines. Until tomorrow, I'm Jim Coyle. I will see you on the radio.
Thanks for listening to Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube page for more clips and team coverage of Indiana basketball, football, and more. You can also find full episodes and tons of other content on thehoosier.com. We'll see you next time for another edition of Indiana Sports Beat Radio.